Welcome back to my channel. Time for a fringe tutorial. We're going to start by using Fireline. This is a thick beading thread that has a lot of structure to it. So you can see here, I can kink it with my finger and it holds its form. This makes it a lot easier to make our base for the fringe earrings. So I'm going to start with 6 beads, and this will create a row of 3 bead height. So you want to make sure to add a 6-inch tail to the end. And then we're going to take our thread and loop it, coming through the first 3 beads of the 6 here. So on my left hand side, I am holding the excess thread and I am coming up that way. Just like this, and then we can pull our thread tight like so, and you'll see like that we've got our first 2 sections of 3 height beads. So I'm going to go through this one more time with my needle just to get them straightened out, because you can see right now they're kind of bowing a little bit. So now we're going to be adding 3 beads at a time like this, and we're going to put our needle through so it creates a loop. Pull the thread tight like this, and then we're going to go up through those beads to secure them. Now we're just going to keep repeating this process until we have created our desired width. So I'm going to do a 13 bead width. And you want to do an odd number if you want to have a fringe that comes down to a point. And you can do even or odd if you want them all the same length. So now our base row is done and we can start our second row. For the second row, I'm going to show you a 2 bead stack. So we're going to take 4 beads to start our next row. Every time we start a row, we're going to use double. So you can see these little loops that go between each of the beads. So there's our first loop and there's our second loop. Now since we're using 2 beads to start, we're going to go through our second loop like that, and then we're just going to go up through those second 2 beads. What this is doing is creating a loop around that base stitch so that our beads are connected to our base row like that. These will straighten out, but if you want, you can go back through our first 2 beads and up through the second beads to make it a little bit tighter. This is optional. And from here on, we'll be doing 2 beads at a time. So we're going to go through that next loop of thread you see right there. Push your needle underneath, pull it tight, and then go up through your 2 beads. And we're just going to keep repeating this until we get to the end of this row. So these are our last beads on our last loop, just like that. So now I'm going to show you what a 1 bead row looks like. So we're going to take double, we're taking 2 and going through our second loop. Pulling the thread tight and then going through the second bead, just like this. So the process is the exact same whether you're doing 3, 2, or 1 beads. You're just going to start with double, and then you're going to go 1 by 1, 2 by 2, or 3 by 3 for the remaining rows. So it's totally up to you how you want to make your piece. If you want to do it all with 2 beads, if you want to do it all with 3, if you want to do it all with 1. These earrings in particular, I'm trying to create a semicircle, which is why I'm switching my amounts of beads to create the shape I'm looking for. So just keep repeating this process, and this is what my final piece looks like. If you're doing yours just with the same amount of beads the whole time, you're going to have more of a triangle shape. So now I'm prepping my beads for my fringe. So I've got here my 3 colors, and then I'm going to be mixing some colors, so I find it's easier to pre-mix them so I can bead faster. And now we're also going to switch to a different thread. So I'm using Nymo thread in size B. I find this is pretty good for fringe. You can also go for a thinner thread if you want them to fall nicely. So to start this new thread, we're going to weave it through our beading. So I'm just going to start kind of at a random section, not quite at the bottom. And I'm going to weave my thread through to create a knot by using the tension. So I'm just going to let my excess fall out for now, just so we can make sure not to pull it through. So we're just going to go around going up and down in random patterns, making sure that this is creating enough tension that our thread isn't going to pull when we pull it tight. Once we've adequately woven it enough, we're going to go down through our base row so we can start attaching our fringe. Like this, and you'll see when I pull that thread tight that our excess is not getting pulled off, so we can just trim it off. Another tip for doing our fringe is to switch to a longer needle. So that's a standard length needle, and I'm going to switch to this long one here. This is a tulip loom needle, and it is about 5 inches long. So now I'm going to load my needle up with my beads in the desired pattern that I've made. So I'm starting with 5 of the dark green beads, and then we're going to transition into our middle green beads by going back and forth between the 2 colors. So it looks like this, creating kind of an ombre effect by fading from one color to the next. And then I'm going to add on 10 of these beautiful Picasso beads. And then we're going to do another transition with our turquoise beads. And finishing off with 10 turquoise beads. If you're happy with your pattern, push it down your thread up to your base beadwork, like so, and you'll see that my pattern looks like this. So we're going to remove the final bead by pushing it away, but still keeping it on the thread, and then we're going to take our needle and push it up through all these beads. The bead at the end works as a stopper so that your fringe stays on and you simply don't just take all your beads right off the needle. I've accidentally done that a couple times and it's pretty disappointing. When we come up to the top, we're going to go through our base row. So my base row is the 3 bead base. So I'm going to come up through all of my fringe plus those 3 beads. And then I'm going to pull my thread tight like so. You can also grab your stopper bead at the end to pull your thread like I'm doing here. And there is our first fringe. So now we're going to go down back through our base row on the next column of beads. So I'm going down through my 3 bead base, pushing my needle through. If you're having some difficulty, you can take some pliers to push it through. Just be careful. Sometimes if it's not pushing through, it means it's too tight and you could break a bead. This would be a good time to switch to a smaller size needle. This one I think is a size 10, so I could switch to a size 12 if I was worried about my beads breaking. And now we can add our fringe again. So I'm going to do the same thing and repeat the same pattern like so, and then take the stopper bead off and move up the beads. Keep repeating this process until you've finished all of your fringe. To finish off our work, we are going to weave our thread back through our beadwork to create a knot. So just like how we started the fringe, we are going to end that way as well. So I'm going to go up a couple rows, zigzag it around until it is nice and strong. And there you go. You finished your first pair of brick stitch fringe earrings. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and let me know if there's any other tutorials you'd like me to do. Thank you so much for watching.